Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Thursday, April 24th, and the energies in the day adds up to the number 1 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. So I smiled for a bit when I was saying today's date because wow, we're pretty much at the end of April already. And when it comes to the spirit guidance for today's energy, we have the camel, and the camel comes out in the reversal position. So the spirit guidance has, for me, spirit guidance is spirit medicine. What can we implement when it comes to the day's energy in order to create some form of balance? And with the camel coming out in the reversal position, in the upright position, the camel would bring me to the thought of long distance, having a long distance or a marathon mindset when it comes to a thing. And I first heard about the marathon mindset from Nipsey Hussle. Before he passed, I didn't even know who he was. But then after he passed, there was a lot of interviews of him surfacing everywhere. And an interviewer asked him, what is his secret to success? And I don't remember his exact words, but he said something to his, there is no secret to success. For him, success, it is, approaching whatever you're trying to achieve with a marathon mindset, in the sense that you start the race and you just never finish. A lot of the times when we start things, we are assuming that, it should take this amount of time, maybe because we're comparing our situation to someone else and it took them a short period of time or a certain amount of time. So maybe we're expecting the same for ourselves. So I loved hearing that interview with him talking about there is no secret to success. It's approaching it with a marathon mindset and getting in the race and, getting in the race forever, opposed to getting in and looking around at a certain time for the finish line. And that helped me a lot because at that point, I stopped looking up and seeing how far I am when it comes to the things that I'm into, that I'm working on. I stopped looking up and say, okay, well, I've put this much time in. How comes I haven't seen this yet or that or whatnot? Instead, I hold my head down and I do my thing. But I feel like that's mostly possible if you're pursuing or doing something that you enjoy. With the camel coming out, for today's energy, the camel brings me to long distance, not long distance, in the reversal position. The camel energy brings me to cutting something short, and maybe not taking it to the next level, or coming to the realization that this isn't something you can run a marathon with. And for me, an example of something that you can't run a marathon with is whenever we get into things, whether it's career ideas or set these ambitious goals for ourselves, and we only visualize the outcome or the status or the title. We imagine how people are going to respond to us when we have this new status, when we have this new title. We don't consider the process, because you're going to spend all your time in the process. The process is being in the race. And when we overlook the process to a thing, we only focus on the outcome, the status, the titles, and what it might mean for us. Sometimes we could find ourselves jumping into things and we're struggling when it comes to the things we jump into. I think of the person, graduate from college and they're in the career, but it's making them sick because the process to either get to the goal or maintain the goal is completely out of alignment with the truth of who they are. or the person's going to school to pursue something and they have no interest for this thing, and it's stressing them out, it's making them ill because the process is out of alignment with who they are. The idea of the thing is where they're stuck at. And when I think of the idea of a thing, I think of today's energy. We have the moon in Pisces. And with the moon energy, the moon is our inner world, our inner conversation, and how we nurture ourselves and others, just to name a few. And with the moon in Pisces, Pisces is the dream, and a dream is a blueprint to reality. So first it starts with that vision. And sometimes we could get lost in just the vision of, oh, I see myself as being a successful pediatrician. And, you know, you want to be a pediatrician, but you're allergic to animals, or maybe you don't like the way they smell or whatever, but you saw the recognition and the attention that so-and-so got when they pursued that career goal, and you want the perks. So you visualize yourself be getting the recognition and the praise and all of that. But the process is not in alignment with your truth. And when it comes to, say, the moon in Pisces, I think of, you know, the moon, our inner world is an amazing place to manifest. And with our inner world in an amazing place to manifest, this is where we want to sit down and reflect on, what do I see for myself? But even more than just what you see for yourself, once you're clear about what it is that you see for yourself, sit down and be brutally honest about the process and reflect on you and the process and how will that work for you. I remember when I came back from Cali and I was considering deeply to go back to school to be a dietitian, because I love learning about food and health. And I believe that, you know, the body can heal itself, but with the right foods and things, we create the environment for the body to heal itself, you know, bring itself back to balance from anything. And when I thought about the process of, you know, stepping into a career like that, like I saw myself stressed out. If I was being honest with myself, I saw myself stressed out because I could be a bit of I like solutions. I like to make things happen. And I could see myself, if I'm working with people and they're not, you know, because I think of, like, say how a person will go to the doctor or they'll go to see someone and about their health maybe. And they'll say, what are you eating at home? And they're lying, or maybe in the moment they think they're telling the truth. And what they say they're eating is not what they're doing at home. And, you know, they could be working with this person trying to help them better. The doctor's working with this person trying to get them better, but there's no results because the person's not being honest about what's happening at home. And I know that a lot of people are like that, if I'm being honest. And that was the thing that I'm like, I could see myself getting upset with my clients and even probably like feeling like cursing them out because I'm so invested in their process, and I'm going to be disappointed when things aren't working. And it's not that the process doesn't work, it's that they're not working it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's not for me. And not just that, but other things. But when I sat and I reflected on the process, I realized that I do love learning about food, talking about food and health, but the process, it's not for me. So when it comes to today's energy, I feel like there's something about the process within a thing. With the camel energy, you know, you want to sit down and reflect, you know, when it comes to the long term, the marathon. To a thing, it's like, can you commit to this thing long term? But the camel energy coming out in the reversal position brings me to cutting something short. So when it comes to today's energy, today is the 24th. With the day being the 24th, the number 24 brings big emphasis to nurturing. It brings big attention to foundation. It brings attention to the material realms, how we secure a foundation for ourselves and how we become better nurturers of ourselves and others. On a day like today, with the 24 energy being present, some of us could find ourselves feeling a little bit, I like the moon in Pisces, that it helps us to kind of dream another dream, but it can also reflect escapism, running away from whatever it is that we're feeling, because some things could cause us to feel a bit powerless. But I like how the moon in Pisces conjunct the North Node And Venus also in Pisces is positively speaking to Uranus and Taurus. So I think of how things are changing in our world in major ways, and we're seeing all the changes happen right in front of us. Like, say, for example, right now with the whole tariff war thing going on and China exposing trade secrets when it comes to major brands and companies and things like that. I feel like that's Uranus and Taurus energy, along with Pluto in Aquarius. Uranus and Taurus, Taurus energy deals with Venus. Venus is beauty, fashion, art, but Taurus is the foundational things in our society. And those things are being shook up, or they need to evolve to the next level. And Pluto in Aquarius, these groups and organizations and things that we look up to, they are transforming. They have to become more honest, whatever that looks like for them. And with the moon in Pisces positively speaking to Uranus and Taurus, I think of, this being a perfect time to sit down, and when it comes to your situation, what's standing out about your situation that makes you feel insecure, that makes you feel unstable. And when it comes to that, this is a perfect opportunity to fantasize, daydream, reflect on some things that you would do if money wasn't an issue. Because, the things that you would do if money wasn't an issue are things that you can be doing and making a living off of it, even though, we weren't conditioned to think that way, but that is a thing. And the moon in Pisces is squaring Jupiter in Uranus. So the inner world today is in a place where it wants introspection, reflection, and time alone is what I would get from that square. It's not such a social energy, but, more of like a dreamy, reflective energy. And there's a T-square today between Mars in Leo, the Sun in Taurus, and Pluto in Aquarius. So when it comes to this T-square energy, this T-square is between all fixed energies, all fixed signs. With the T-square between all fixed signs, it brings me to a need for change. It's almost like compromising needs to happen when it comes to who we identify as, what motivates us, and the transformations that need to happen when it comes to our public image and the people we associate ourselves with. When I say compromise, for me, there is no need to compromise when it comes to your truth. But when I think of the Sun in Taurus and just the Sun energy, the Sun is our identity. And when it comes to our identity, who we identify as, I think of say the ego and the identity and us looking in the world and having to look out in the physical world to look at things, to use things to see who we are. So when I think of Sun in Taurus and our identity, where Taurus energy is concerned, with Sun and Taurus, we identify with being practical, stable, traditional, because Taurus is a traditional energy. And if we identify as that, but that isn't our truth, I feel like that could be contradicting for us, because it can cause us to reject certain things that is our truth. And we reject those things because they're unfamiliar. We weren't raised to be open to those things. When it comes to the tarot, we have the Queen of Swords energy in the reversal position. So with the Queen of Swords in the reversal position, today's energy brings me to something about being honest with oneself. It's like being honest with yourself. I think with today's energy, even though the energies in the day adds up reduced to number one, the number one deals with the beginning. But these energies feel like some ending needs to happen. But the number one energy is the beginning, yes. But, sometimes the beginning is an ending. The ending is the beginning. When I think of a circle, the ending is the beginning. So with something about today's energy, it's like, what are ways that you might be lying to yourself? Or what are ways that you might be lying to yourself about your current situation or certain aspects of your situation? I remember when I used to lie to myself. The time that I could remember when I would try to lie to myself, but I didn't know I was lying to myself, is the stories that I'll tell all the time about living in Cali, living in West Hollywood. And, it's funny because when I first lay in bed and thought about going, I remember pulling some tarot cards and they were all so negative, but I didn't know, of course, when you're reading for yourself, you're going to be biased, but they were all so negative. And I remember when I went to visit And something about the energy just wasn't right. And then a year later, you know, the bug came back to go, but I decided, oh, I'm going to go to the north side instead. That's why I went to the north side first and then made my way down to LA. And, you know, when I was living there, it clicked right away that I don't belong here. It's tight for me, congested and fast. And there was just other things about it that just doesn't fit with who I am. But I kept trying to convince myself that I could belong there or I could live there, because I didn't want to be wrong about moving all the way across the country. I didn't want to look wrong or be wrong. So because of avoiding being wrong or looking wrong, I try to make myself right and ignored what it is that I was feeling. So when it comes to today's energy, is there something in your life that you have a similar interaction or relationship with? Is there something in your life that you know isn't right for you, but you don't want to look wrong? You don't want to be wrong? Is it the relationship? Is it what you're pursuing? Is it the career? Is it the friendship? Is it the location that you just moved to? Is there something that you're trying to be right about when deep down, like, it's just wrong for you? Let's pause for a bit. I am proud of the services that I offer and excited to tell you about them. If it would be your first time booking with me, then I recommend the natal chart and numerology awareness coaching session. For a while, that was the only service I offered, along with the 30 minutes tarot reading, which is still available if you're interested. I noticed the pattern. At the end of the natal chart and numerology coaching sessions, some of you would ask me for a follow-up service options for additional clarity and guidance to assist you with whatever you're going through at the moment. I kept saying, I'll look into it. I don't know why it took me so long. Finally, I have created that option along with the service option to book a solo return chart reading for those of you who are strategic and like to plan ahead. Everything you need to know is within the description box below. Let's get back into the video. And for me, what I learned is that yes, first it starts in the mind, where you can feel or not even just in the mind, energetically, you can feel that the frequency is off with the decision that you made because you're out of alignment. But after a while, you know, we could be so good at ignoring what it is that we're feeling, sensing, but eventually the body will protest. Eventually something will happen within the body that kind of forces us to get still, and eventually we'll shift up out of the frequency. But sometimes it's not in the ways that we would like that the changes would come in, because if the change is going to come in, it's going to come in. But I think of how I'll say to myself, like, okay, I see that I'm being called for XYZ, and I'm just gonna leave because I don't want to be dragged out. Like, I remember when it was just clear for me that it's time for me to close the salon and move on to better days. And I was terrified. It's like, that's insane. My intuition, like, it was scary that, like, that's the thing that I kept. It was so strong for weeks, for months. Like I would avoid like that reality, because who was I outside of the salon? That was how I made money, and it just came to me effortlessly. And I felt like that was the only way I could make a living. And the feeling was just so strong. And from years of understanding my intuition and how it works, I was too afraid to ignore my intuition. So I rather dealt with whatever consequences would come from me leaving. So I was okay with being wrong about leaving, but I was going to trust and listen to my intuition, because I knew that it's either I leave on my own or something happens that forces me to leave, which I'll learn later that, okay, you could have done it all along. You just had to believe. But I rather leave on my own than to be pushed out, forced out, or dragged. And when it comes to today's energy, is there something that you're trying to preserve, hold on to, keep, or force? And more than likely, when it comes to today's energy, this thing is all about status and image. There's a material aspect to the thing, the material reason justifying, you know, this thing, because it will complete you in some way, is what I'm picking up when it comes to today's energy. So today's a great day to take your power back by first just becoming aware of what that thing is, if there is a thing. And just from being aware of what that thing is, if there is a thing, you'll be so amazed how things just work itself out just from you being honest with yourself. Pleasure sharing this message with you. Let me know you're here with me by dropping me a red heart in the comment box below. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.